So this was one of our the help box questions that you guys had asked about. And if you go ahead and read it, they give us f prime of x, and they're asking how many critical values does f have on this interval. So notice that they already gave us the derivative. Now keep in mind a critical value is when the derivative is equal to 0 or when f prime of x, the derivative is undefined. So that's really what I'm looking for here. And then you should have noticed on the question that it said it was a calculator question. Yeah, it is, because I can't do this without one, I don't think. I can do part of it. I already know that f prime of x will be undefined, right? Think about what could make this undefined. Cosine is always defined, so that's not an issue. But if we had a 0 in the denominator there, that would cause a problem. So what if, I'm going to go back for a second. What if x was 0? That would make f prime of x undefined. So that's an issue. And yet it's not, because it's not on the open interval, right? Because they gave us an open interval. Okay, so that's not even a concern for me. So there's nothing where this is going to happen. I'm not going to contribute any from that. So there's none coming from this, no critical values, no CVs that in our specific interval. So now we just need to look at this one, right? When is the derivative equal to 0? Now keep in mind, this is a this is a calculator question. So if I go ahead, we're just going to kind of minimize this, maybe slide it over here. We're going to pull up a calculator. Okay, so I know that I want that to be to be 0. That I want f prime of x to be 0. So I'm just going to go ahead and type it in my calculator because I can. So cosine of x, and I want that whole thing squared. Ooh, I wanted that whole thing squared. So I need to put in another parenthesis there. Oh, darn it. Should have inserted. Oh, well. I want that thing squared, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit square. I can't read the buttons on my calculator, otherwise I was going to grab the square. And I need to divide this by x, no big deal. And then I need to subtract 1/5 from it. So I'm just going to double check and make sure everything looks good. I think it does. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my window. Because it's considering I'm only looking on the open interval 0 to 10, I'm just going to make sure that's my window. And all I'm looking for is when the derivative, when f prime here is 0. So I'm just going to kind of hone in on that x-axis because that's where I'm looking. Boom. There you have it, folks. Right there. So can keep in mind that we had no critical values caused by f prime of x being undefined. But I can see I clearly have 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots where f prime of x is equal to 0. So there's 3 critical values on the interval coming from that. Now, let's say I was a little concerned, about, I don't know, maybe that spot where it looks like it might almost be touching the axes. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to use Zoom Box, one of my favorite Zoom features. I could just change my interval. I could have changed my y values. That probably would have. I think I might have lost in the recording there. So this function has 1, 2, 3 spots where f prime of x is 0 on that interval. So this one has 3 critical values on that interval. Actually, f has 3 critical values on that interval. And so I can go ahead and write that. I would say, like f has 3 crit values on 0 to 10 because f prime of x equals 0 at 3 different values. And and f prime of x is never undefined on 0 to 10. Now, keeping in mind that I'm trying to coach us for the AP test, most likely this is going to be a multiple choice question. So you wouldn't really need the rest. You'd really just kind of need the answer here. But